Take the sill protector, I'm gonna measure, I'm gonna basically sit it in here flush, the corner and the sides. I'm gonna cut here and here so that it fits right into this spot, and then I'm gonna do the same on this side. And this is like a sill protector, and it's almost like a tape, so it's got adhesive on one side, so you just peel it off and stick. So that's why I wanted to make sure that the sill was all clean and all the debris was removed, because this is the surface it's going to stick to. You can see some of the stuff that we're going to cover up. We are going to put caulk first, the silicone caulk, in all of the edges as well. We're going to caulk all around here. We're going to caulk along here. We're going to caulk here, here, all in here, and we're going to run it all the way up the sides in this spot here where the center stop was. We're going to definitely make sure it's in all the edge. That's all going to be caulked so that the window, when it's finally in place, sits in the caulk, and we wind up with a nice airtight, watertight seal. I'll show you what the sill barrier looks like, this Protectowrap, after it's cut, before it's adhered to the sill. The Protectowrap cut to size. I'm not ready to install it yet. Next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to prepare the window. I'm going to pack it with the insulation. Basically, you have this top stop on the window. This is it'll take up the extra space we had at the top of the window. You can adjust it, and it'll fit nice and snug. And there'll be silicone on the top to adhere to the frame. So I got this top expander packed with insulation. I measured it. It's basically 3.5 wide by about 32, and I cut some strips of insulation to roughly about that size. This lifts up off the window, and then lay the insulation on top and put the expander back down on it. All the edges of the window, it's not going to look pretty. It doesn't have to look pretty. The outside I'll take care of at a later time, but the inside is the most important, and the sill. So I got caulk all around here. Actually, I'm going to add some caulk right in there, cover that hole, fill that up. Looks like there was some water or something damaged there at some point. And caulk all around the edges that the window's going to sit against. Most importantly is going to be this backstop that the window sits right against. That's going to create a nice airtight, watertight seal once it's dry. Now I'm going to put down the sill seal, the Protectowrap, and peel away the strip that's covering the adhesive and stick it down. Then I'm going to go back to the window. I'm going to measure. It's going to be 32 wide, probably 3.5 wide, 32 long. Piece of insulation, and I'm going to put that on the bottom of the window, and also have to install. There's sort of like a vinyl strip that comes with it. It's like a gap filler, and that will actually help here on the outside of the sill. It'll fill this gap that you would otherwise have on the outside of the window. I got the insulation packed onto the bottom of the window, and also this vinyl gap filler that just slides into a channel. There's a channel and a groove it slides onto on the window. Make sure it's flush. Pack your bottom with insulation, and now we're going to tilt the window in the same way we did to check the rough fit, and this should be the final fit. Then we're going to do the adjustments, any shims that we might need to make sure it's plumb, level, and square. We have all the caulk sitting around the frame, and that's going to help adhere the window and seal it, make it watertight and airtight. The window into the frame with all the insulation and silicone latex caulk adhesive applied. It's actually sitting quite level and plumb, you can see it's pretty much dead on. I'm not going to shim anything on this window. I'm sure if I measured it, it'll be perfect. You could tell by the level. So next step's going to be to drill it into, screw it into place, and I'll show you where to drill and where to screw, and that'll hold it for now. And then we'll start with the finishing of it, and we'll check the functionality, make sure it's nice and smooth. The bottom as well, but they basically to stop the window from going too far one way or the other. And what you want is that, I guess, basically the top window, you don't want it to go too far down. So the final position, I usually leave them here, but we're going to just remove them because we need to get to those screw holes. To mention, you're going to need a bit about the size of the installation screws. There's only 2 holes drilled in the window at the bottoms that I showed you. I like to put 2 on the top as well to hold the window in place. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to drop this top sash, and about 2 inches down from the top, right in here, I'm going to drill 2 small holes for the screws, and I'm going to apply pressure on the window, pushing in, and make sure I put the screws, into the frame. The window usually comes with 4 installation screws, but only 2 holes drilled. So that's why I had to drill the other 2 holes on the top. You can see them there. I got a little bit of dirt on it, but they're going to go in there. I'm going to screw the window in, holding it tight towards the backstop, applying pressure so it stays. Check for these screws because they tend to drop out of the package or walk away or something. They're usually taped to the window, and it's very easy for it to drop out of the packing in the store or in transit. Screwed in, bottom and top. We're going to put these stops back in where they belong at the bottom. Pretty much once they're lined up, they should just pop in. Be careful because put pressure on the top, it's sharp. But you want to make sure that they're slid all the way down. Do the same on this side. You can see it's a little bit difficult to do with one hand, but pop them in, make sure they're down. That'll prevent the top window from going all the way down. See how nice it looks from the outside. You can see some of the caulk I probably overdid. I'll smooth that out with my finger. We basically want to caulk this edge right where the window butts against the frame. Put a nice bead in there, and that's going to be all watertight and airtight. You won't get any air leaks from around the frame. Alright, we got a nice tight clean seal, silicone all around the edge, right where the window butts the frame. This is all going to be painted over as well, so it's going to look nice and clean, and it's going to be guaranteed to be airtight and watertight. I'm going to go next to the inside, and I'll show you what we do there to finish her up. I also like to apply some silicone here along this edge. It's kind of a blunt edge. I probably could have done better with the seal for the sill. Maybe cut it in here instead, in this crease. But making sure it wraps around the bottom here and coming down towards the angle of the sill will ensure that no water can seep back up in there. This is angled, so with an angle down, it's going to be real difficult for any water to get in and under there. So I'm willing to sacrifice a little bit of the look, the clean aesthetic, maybe bringing it to the edge. Nice thick layer of paint on top of this silicone that kind of smooths the edge, the transition, and it'll look just fine. Right, so we got it all silicone caulked on the outside. All the gaps are filled. If you recall, we did insulate the top expander and we insulated the bottom. What we didn't insulate is the sides. So we're going to actually take our putty knife, spackle knife, painter's knife, whatever you have that you could slip in the gap, and we're going to take some strips of insulation and we're gonna shove it into the gap, not too tight, just so it's nice and fluffy in there, and that'll insulate the sides. Yeah, so I got my insulation, I got my my spackle knife. I don't know if I can do this with one hand, but you're basically going to want to just press it in there and work your way up, and press it in and fill this entire gap with the insulation, just like that. You want to shove it in so it's inside, taking up that gap, that air gap, and fluffy, not too tight. You don't want it packed tight. Once you have the insulation packed in the gap, again, nice and fluffy, not too tight, then we're going to want to take the, remember the first thing we took off was the front window stops that go here and fill this gap. So we're going to want to take those, and we're going to use our channel locks to back out the nails that we're holding them in. Stops, this is the top piece. You know, nails are still in there. You want to grab the end of the nail with the channel locks and push it through. It'll pretty easily go through and remove all the nails. Do a rough check before putting silicone and permanently fixing these front window stops. You can see it's a little bit off now. This window's probably because of that top expander. It's sticking out a little bit at the top. You know, it's not going to look too clean. So I like to cut this shape out of this side with a knife. It's pretty easy. Just be careful. Cut out a little notch right here at the top. You know, maybe a little bit like maybe 1/8 of an inch, and then cut in and maybe clean up some of this edge, and it should fit then nice and snug. So we'll do that for all the stops before we nail them in and silicone them in permanently. See, we're just taking from here down, and we're shaving about an eighth of an inch out of it. You want to just carefully carve in there and push forward, and it'll be nice and clean after we silicone it. You'll never know. If you recall, we're going to need to put the top stop in first. I just checked it, and of course it's going to need to be shaved down. So again, we don't want to really shave this side down. This is the finished edge. I'm going to go on the back edge and probably take off maybe a 1/16 of an inch. Definitely on the corner. I might not need it towards the middle, but probably all the way down, just to make a nice, tight, snug fit. Alright, so I shaved off where I needed to. I'm checking the rough fit, and it looks like it's going to go nice and snug. Again, the silicone caulking in these spots here, everything's going to look nice, uniform, and neat. So now that we're satisfied with the rough fit, I'm going to put silicone behind, fill in this gap. That'll be all caulked nice, and we'll put the stops back in, and then I just got to nail them in. That's it. Everything's nailed, sealed. It just needs to be painted. I'll probably do another video showing the final product, all nice and clean and neat. But I mean, for what it is at this point, you know what it was, the improvement is tremendous. It's going to save on the bills, the efficiency. It's definitely airtight, watertight, and it looks a hell of a lot better. It's also energy efficient glass. So the benefits far exceed just waiting or even paying someone. If you got some time and you're pretty handy, you can definitely do this yourself. So I hope this helped everyone. Definitely like, comment, subscribe if you want to follow. There's always problems to solve, and hopefully I can help you.